So at this point, the blind's gone up again. We're at 10,000, 20,000, and finally I have a winning hand. This obviously is not a very nice hand to be winning pots with, but we have some logic behind it in this case. So folds are on to me, and we are down to the final 18 at this point, and I have 3 people behind me all playing. Well, I have pretty good hands on Dowdy Muff and Badger in terms of tournament tracking, and I know they're playing pretty fit or fold, so I don't expect to get 3-bet light by either of these players, and I also think that with the final table just around the corner, people are going to really start tightening up, and with that logic, I'm looking at Kiz Galley with a similar size stack to me. So I was just going to raise and fold to any sort of 3-bet, and I was not prepared to stab. If I had been flatted, which I didn't expect to happen, I'm not really prepared to stab because I have a stack that's much better to just get the money in pre-flop than, say, try and raise and then continuation bet. Like, that kind of stuff is done much better when you have deeper stacks and can afford to bet fold. And in this case, I absolutely cannot afford to bet fold. So we raise, and the 2 guys playing 14% and 18% fold, and the new guy to the table that I only had 15 hands on gives up his hand. And we finally win our first spot since we came back from the awful disconnect. Now, in this hand, I make somewhat of a questionable raise, but I will run you through my logic and I'll play both sides of the coin here. Obviously, this is a very awful hand to be opening in a PLO tournament on a 22 big blind stack with 5 people behind me. I really can't stand up to a raise, and I don't really have too much flop ability. This is the kind of hand we want to be raising when we're much, much deeper. But the opposite side of that, in terms of tournament theory, I don't have a problem with this raise. Because when I'm looking at the players behind me, I have a 20 big blind, a 10 big blind, and a 10 big blind stacks in the small and big blinds. I've got a guy on a 20 big blind stack on the button who I didn't really expect at this point for him to just jam the money in too light, especially with the final table around the corner. And then I have 2 big stacks on my immediate left who are both playing pretty tight. So the guy to my immediate left, Daddy Muff, I never ever expect him to 3-bet me light with a guy who has him covered behind him plus 4 other players. Badger, I just really didn't expect any light action from him, given he's playing 18-12, 2.6. So that left the other players. And like I said, I'm counting on getting folds because of how close we are to the final table. And like the guys in the blinds are either jamming or folding. They're never flatting me here, ever. So I didn't really expect to get flatted by anybody. And I did think my raise would take down the blinds a decent percentage of the time. I think more often than not, I win this pot uncontested. This pot never ever goes to the flop without being all in. So the guy on the button 3-bets pot, and we're going to end up seeing his hand. I really disagree with his 3-bet. And the big blind jabs. So I'm going to see the cards. The big blind obviously is going to stack up with kings double suited. He probably would have done it with King's single suit as well, given the fact he probably would have done it with, King's single suit he probably would have gone with, given his 10 big blind stack. This is an atrocious hand to 3-bet me with on the button because, I never, all the hands I get in over the top of this have him crushed. The only possible hands that I can have that don't have him crushed are Ace, King, Queen, 10, Ace, King, Jack, 10. And even then, we're 50-50 because if I hit any of my overpairs, hands over, boom, right away. And to 3-bet bear jacks like this with 2 short stacks behind you, like you never get him to fold kings. You probably don't get him to fold Ace, Queen, Queen. And there's just too many hands that are going to come along. I just really don't like this guy's 3-bet of me at all, especially since I'm on a short stack, and in theory I should have, well, he's only played 15 hands with me, so he doesn't know if I've been getting out of line. He doesn't know if I've been just raising garbage the whole tournament. So to put your whole tournament on the line, which he essentially does by 3-betting me, because if I get it in, we're both all in. this is just such an awful, awful, awful hand to do it with, and he does get punished, and the kings holds up, and I was pretty happy about that, because when I saw the jacks, all that crossed my mind is, really, where is the logic in doing this? Why would you do that to yourself this deep in a big tournament?